Definitely not the starters. You're on the End of the Bench podcast from 100.7 The Score.
I'm Mike Hebert, owner of Cantex Roofing and Construction. Every day is game day, and we'll get it right when it comes to your roofing, construction, windows, and mirrors. Call Cantex Roofing and Construction today. Together, we are one serving you.
Welcome in. I'm Rob Breaux alongside David Collier, Lucas White. We are in the First United Bank studio here for the End of the Bench. You can call in on the Visual Edge IT hotline, 806-771-0973. You can also hit us up on the Yates Flooring Center chat line. We're about, 6 weeks away from week 0, 7 weeks away from Texas Tech football.
Is that where we're at?
Ish, 7, 8, whatever it is. We are very close. And I always kind of look at the calendar, the sports calendar, and say, All-Star Weekend, Big 12 Media Days, that's kind of when you flip from the off-season college football stuff to the preseason. I think we're a week, 2 weeks away, 3 weeks away, too, from NFL preseason, like actual games.
Really?
I think so.
Oh. You leave for 2 days and it's football season.
Isn't that crazy? So we'll flip it over there, and that'll be pretty exciting. Much more fun in my world when football is actively being talked about and actively going on. It didn't seem like a very long offseason, really.
No, and that's what your attention for a softball team that a lot of people that never watch will do for you. It's kind of like baseball, when for the longest time you wanted to go to Omaha, and you finally got that chance a handful of times in the early teens to the end of the late teens.
Just the teens, really.
Yeah, the teens. Yeah, I was about to say it carried over, but you don't realize once you've done that, you're like, you get home and you're like, crap, I used to plan vacation around that time and stuff. And that was the same thing for me, like during spring break for basketball, when the basketball team was not necessarily good, from about Pat Knight to Tubby Smith.
Yeah, Tubby's third year, yeah.
That was prime spring break, go skiing time. And then all of a sudden, I haven't skied in quite a long time. But yeah, it just eats it up. And before you realize it, you're like, it was just like media day. I was like, well, we shouldn't be doing media day now. We just finished softball.
Yeah, and you're like 2-3 weeks away from like a local media day.
Mm-hmm.
If that's a little more rambunctious than the last couple of years, I assume it will be with everything going on. Exciting.
We might even
times.
have more people here for that than years past.
Right? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
They're like, oh wow, somebody from out of town showed up. For this thing.
Yeah. I would assume there's a lot of hype that might draw people to Lubbock for that. Beyond that, David, welcome back.
Thank you.
We will draft today at 10:30. We took a draft off yesterday because, David wasn't here.
Yeah.
We want to be on an even playing field.
I would have been fine. I would have lost anyway.
We're gonna do. Me too. Lucas is just gonna win everyone and get his get out of jail free card. We're gonna do breakfast foods today.
Okay.
But at some point in a break, we need to set some ground rules.
Yeah, I would think so.
Because, and we need your help on the chat line, the Yates Flooring Center chat line. Should we limit these draft picks to? Should we allow specific draft picks or just allow broad selections? Like, if you take eggs, do you get all the versions of eggs,
yeah.
Or do you have to draft a certain version of an egg?
No, I would think you would have to do certain versions because again, we got to do 15 of these. You know what I'm saying? So if you take
that kind of forces your hand.
Well, then I'm going to get a Pop-Tart.
Someone's getting a fruit cup.
Yeah.
In the third round.
Yeah, it would be very well. I guess I'm going to go with a Pop-Tart. I'm going to go with toast. Nope, toast's already taken. I guess, man, I love me some bagels. I'm going to take bagel number 1.
English muffins. You're a big English muffin.
A lot more than the bagel. I value pick English muffin with my last pick.
Yeah, so we'll discuss those and
yeah, we need to.
Maybe we do some combos, like if you want to go this and that.
I'm more concerned with the like a burrito, taco, something like that.
Right.
That seems like that is.
Yeah, you got to do something specific. All right, so we're gonna have a specific breakfast draft. Lucas, you agree? Okay. That'll come up at 10:30. And Lucas did win last week again, and I got third.
Hey, I didn't finish last. It's kind of amazing. What did we draft last week?
So I guess I'll just it was your draft. It's the most important Red Raiders.
Hey, I didn't. Yeah,
the most impactful. I guess I'll be drafting first.
Yeah, that's the loser.
That's
the way it works.
Loser, yeah. But I might choose to draft third.
Okay. So would that bump me up? How does that work?
Yeah, I guess the second place guy would get to choose where he would draft.
Okay.
And then we'll stick Lucas as the third pick for the draft. Because I might want the snake.
Yeah, no, it makes sense.
I might want the snake. I might want the 2 instead of getting 1 pick and then everybody else gets 2 picks before you get another pick.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
How was Media Days?
You probably saw a lot more Media Days than me, you know?
Yeah, it's weird. I've been to one.
Yeah.
And you certainly can get locked in on some of the press conferences if you're there. But you're also doing other things, and you kind of have to go off by yourself to get any work done on a laptop or whatever else. You're missing some press conferences because you're trying to find another guy that just got off, and then you're in the scrum. So you don't really get locked in when you're there.
And the setup of this whole thing, when you're watching on ESPN or whatever, and you see the coaches going every 15 minutes or whatever at the big podium, that's going on, and you're locked in on that because that's the only thing you're showing you. That's going on one side of the field there at the Ford Center in Frisco. On the other side, you've got players in their uniforms walking around doing radio row or just doing sidebar stuff with other social media stuff, and that's when you get an opportunity to shoot stuff. And if there's time, you can interview a player there, but they typically are like, that's for radio time. We'll get you later in the afternoon when they're all on the podium. So you're running around I'm running around getting video. So I'm not listening to Scott Satterfield talk back here in the back while I'm...
Yeah, to be fair, I also didn't listen to
I know. That's why I put it that way.
I don't know that anyone did.
I don't know that many people did. But I'm getting video of the coaches sitting up there at the podium or at the... I guess podium in this situation. So I don't consume it the way you do or anybody else does. And I don't remember half of it because I have a camera. I was sitting there front and center in front of Joey McGuire, and I asked him like 4 or 5 questions. But the rest of the time, I'm locked in holding this camera on my shoulder and having some guy rub his chest on my back while he's reaching his microphone recorder over to get the audio. So I'm not paying attention most of the time to what Joey's saying because I'm like, hey, dude, personal space here. I get we're in a scrum, but let's back up a little bit. So I'm doing that stuff and trying to be creative with shots, and by the end of the day, I'm like, what did Barron say as I'm trying to get something ready for the 6 o'clock show?
Right.
I was like, he had some good stuff to say, and I don't remember half of it because I was trying to get Sawyer Robertson or whatever.
Yeah.
It's a weird setup.
I thought there were a couple of good pull quotes yesterday. Rich Rod had a couple.
Mm-hmm.
Dion obviously had a couple.
Yeah.
So we'll do what we did yesterday and give you the top 12-ish quotes. You can read them on doubletsportsnetwork.com as well.
Playing time is not required. This is the End of the Bench podcast from 100.7 The Score.
Welcome back. 100.7 The Score. It is the end of the bench. I've got my favorite quotes from day 2 from the coaches, but as we know, David Collier was in town. He got some audio and quotes from local celebrities, local stars.
Well,
Big 12 regional. I said regional
yeah,
stars.
I was about to say regional stars, and
not
just,
local, but regional.
Yeah, Big 12 Media Day regulars. How about that?
Regulars, certainly. And there's no preseason poll. We had a couple of quotes on that. Mostly day 1. Like Kleiman was like really happy that there wasn't a preseason poll, which you're always in the top 5. I don't know why you're mad about it.
Yeah.
But he said, it hurt to BYU and Arizona State. Well,
I actually asked that question.
Yeah. Oh, that was a good question. That was a good answer.
Yeah, because he goes, Kalani over there.
Right. Yeah, that was a good one.
Thanks.
I used his answer. I didn't notice you asked it. But,
well, let me rephrase that. I asked it in the breakouts. He might have talked about it at the podium, but again, in the breakouts.
I think that's the one I actually saw, though. I just saw his answer.
Yeah.
It was clipped.
Yeah.
They did you dirty.
Oh, well, that's typically the way that people do it. I mean, you have to do that here locally. Otherwise, you'll never be able to tweet anything, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. But you did get John Kurtz, Kansas State.
One of your buddies.
Legend, yep. Friend of the program. So here's John Kurtz on his top 5 in the Big 12.
My top 5, okay, in the unofficial Big 12 media poll. We're making it happen. I've got Tech at number 5. All right, now I know Red Raider fans, you might not like that. I respect the talent. It's one of those things I need to see it. I've been consistent in this. I picked Tech to win the league a couple of years ago, right here at Big 12 Media Days, and I got burned. They lost to Wyoming very shortly after. Just got to see it, man. It's been since 2009 since we've seen that type of season. Tech at 5. K-State at 4. So before you come after me for being too big of a homer, I've got K-State at 4. I think K-State's going like 9-3. Avery Johnson obviously needs to take a big step if they're going to be a legit conference title contender. Much as I hate to admit it, Iowa State at number 3. K-State's had a hard time with them. I'm not looking forward to that game in Ireland, to be completely honest. I'm very nervous about it. I think that will give Iowa State the bump there. I'm a huge Baylor guy, so I've got Baylor at 2. I think Sawyer Robertson is great. I think Dave Aranda is continuing to figure out that defense, and that offense is just going to be so explosive with Bryson Washington and Sawyer Robertson. And Arizona State number 1. I'm a definite Kenny Dillingham guy. It's probably not smart in the Big 12 to pick the defending champ to win it again the next year. But look, Sam Levitt's great. Dillingham's great. Jordan Tyson, go watch what that guy did in Manhattan. Maybe that's just implanted in my brain. He was amazing. But, I'm going to ASU 1, Arizona State over Baylor in the championship game.
I like some of that reasoning. It's funny, Kansas State guys do not pick Tech or trust Tech. And I understand that because you hadn't beat them in a decade. So why would they trust you?
Yeah, that's true.
And I do the same thing. Like, I think really highly of Baylor, but I saw them live crush Texas Tech last year.
Yeah.
And I have some questions on Arizona State because I saw Texas Tech handle Arizona State last year.
Well, Kenny Dillingham said as much up on the podium. He was like, they kicked our butt last year.
We got to ask Sam Levitt what game he had circled on the schedule. And he's like, "Oh, it's Texas Tech," because you're the only team that beat Sam Levitt in conference last year. All right, set us up with his next one.
So you obviously, I wanted to give you the John Kurtz. He even mentioned, I will say this, we went around to everybody and said, hey, give us your top 3. We don't need a whole 16. And John was like, I want to do a top 5 because I'm not going to have Tech in my top 3. And he did rifle around because you and your other cohort did a podcast poll, and he was part of it. He was like, I got to find what I did exactly because I don't want to get any grief from Rob getting this wrong and doing 2 different polls. But we also went around and talked to 8 to 10 total people, and we pared it down to a handful. And I'll just let you know in the order of this clip here. Mark Rogers does a radio show and has for a long time in Oklahoma City. Was a sports director at one of the TV stations there. Produced what was like the Dave Campbell's of high school football magazines in the state of Oklahoma for a long time. Then after that, I believe it's Joel Klatt, Brett McMurphy, Barry Trammell, used to be the Oklahoman, now works at the Tulsa World. You've heard him plenty at Media Days.
You've seen him, yeah.
You've seen him, white hair. And last on the list is Andy Staples, all giving their top 3 contenders for a Big 12 title this year.
I like Arizona State. I love Kenny Dillingham. Love the quarterback. I'm going with Tech, 2. All the new players, new possibilities there. And then 3, I'll go with Baylor, the hottest team the second half of the season.
This is a coin flip conference. I'm going to stick with experience at the quarterback position. So in no particular order, but I've got Iowa State, Kansas State, and Arizona State, in large part due to all those quarterbacks coming back.
My top 3 in the Big 12 this year: number 3, Iowa State. Number 2, Texas Tech. Number 1, Utah. Why did I pick Texas Tech second? Because 2 years ago I told Joey McGuire I was picking Texas Tech to win the Big 12 title, and the Red Raiders went 5-4. I'm not going to do that to him again, so I'm picking him second. He can prove me wrong.
Tech and Baylor, tied at 7-2, and then there's like a 6-way tie at 6-3. So I don't know, Kansas State, I guess, would be the 3. But I think Tech's, got the best chance to emerge in first place in the Big 12 this year. Somebody new wins the league every year, so I think the Red Raiders are a pretty good pick.
Texas Tech, Utah, Arizona State. And when the Salt Lake Station comes, I'm going to switch Texas Tech and Utah.
The politician Andy Staples there. Barry Trimble did say, we cut off the first part of it because it was very long-winded, but he did sit down and do the entire Big 12 schedule. Everybody, and he worked his way through the whole thing. And yeah, it was 1 and 2, and then all of those teams were tied for third, which is kind of like what happened this past year. Right?
I am about halfway through picking every Big 12 game. We'll debut that probably next week.
Okay. You want to get this last one in here?
Let's do it.
All right. You're a big hat guy, right?
Love hats.
You love hats. When you traditionally wear a hat, it's typically like the one that's sitting over there, right?
Yeah, like a little more curve, but certainly not.
But not much curve.
Not extreme curve.
Extreme curve. Yeah, you're anti-curve though, right? I thought you've had the stance where you're pretty anti-curve. I know you're.
Here's what it was. When I was a kid, I was extreme curve, but I have grown away from it. Yes.
You've grown away. Yeah. So you don't like the curved hat.
I think some guys look really silly in a curved hat. It works for some.
Okay, it works for some. Speaking of which, the hard-hitting journalism that I have here.
Sure, yeah.
Matt Campbell was walking from the back to get ready to do his scrum media availability the other day, and I stopped him and said, I just have one question for you. I have a guy that wears a hat all the time. He's a flat bill guy. Can you defend wearing the curved hat?
Can you defend why you wear the hat that way? Because I'm on board with you.
Yeah, I think there's two types of people, right? We got flat bill, which is like this new school hipster, and I think we got these old school like hardworking, steel workers that, man, you bend your brim, you put your head down, and you go to work every day, and so that's kind of why I do it. It hasn't changed for me since I started coaching.
So there you go.
I like how you got. I'm with you.
That's if I can get the bill of the hat these days to curve like that, that's what I do. But unfortunately, most of the hats that we get don't really, unless you really work it, Right. But some of the flat bill hats that I have, that I like with a travel baseball team or local high school, it won't curve. It goes back into the flat bill.
There are ways to do that. You can get a little steam on them.
Yeah.
I used to have the plastic thing with the elastic band over it, and all my hats were the same curve.
Well, I used to curve, and then you tuck it into the back.
Or the rubber band. And
I don't even do it. I curve it and then put it in the back hole if I'm not wearing a fitted hat like you.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so
all the steel workers.
The steel workers,
have, so we Google steel workers. They'll have the curved hats.
Curved hats, yeah. I wasn't going to go more in depth with him. He was already laughing at the whole question anyway. He gave the side eye to the guy standing next to me. I was like, I told you this is going to be ridiculous. I said, this is for a radio show. It's a bit.
Yeah.
Play along.
That's good. All right. At 10:45, we're going to give you the rest of the quotes. We've got some Dion and Rich Rod and Mike Gundy quotes to read through. At 10:30, we'll do our breakfast draft. 10:15, highs and lows. 9:45, we'll check the calendar after this.
Definitely not the starters. You're on the End of the Bench podcast from 100.7 The Score.
Welcome back, 100.7 The Score. I've just pulled up the chat line, and I'm looking at this. David Collier here trying to get some video footage while Sweaty Betty is all over him.
Nobody should have Ben Stiller's hair, is what I've learned from that. Except for Ben Stiller.
Is that Along Came Polly?
Yeah.
I've never seen that movie.
Yeah, pretty sure.
I need to watch it.
You've only consumed the meme of what's his name shooting a basketball?
Yeah. Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Yeah.
Well, I just saw some clips of him in the theater the other day. I was like, what is this from? From Along Came Polly. Let's check the calendar.
Your daily look at what's happening in the world of sports, birthdays, and holidays. Let's check the calendar.
It is July 10th, 2025. It's National Kitten Day. It is National Pina Colada Day. Do you like pina coladas?
Did you want me to?
Do you like getting caught in the rain?
Yeah, I figured that's what you wanted me to do. I'm not into yoga.
Do you have half a brain?
Yeah, that's debatable.
It's National Wyoming Day.
I do like a pina colada. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I like a pina colada.
No.
And Pick Blueberries Day.
I ate blueberries today.
I like a nice handful of blueberries. Yeah. Fresh, wild blueberries. Very nice. Any birthdays, Lucas?
We have Roger Craig turning 65 years old today.
Wow.
Father of a former Red Raider basketball player.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Roderick Craig. He didn't stay long, but he was here.
David Njoku turning 29. We have Antonio Brown turning 37.
Did he ever get that stuff ironed out from a couple of weeks ago?
I have no earthly idea. I haven't.
Story kind of disappeared.
I'm interested to look at his X account today.
Oh, for his birthday?
Yeah, of course. Cameron Jordan turning 36. Then we have Urban Meyer turning 61.
Stay out of the bars, Urban.
We have Lawrence Butler turning 25. He was the one that hit the inside of the park home run.
Yeah, with the A's.
Yeah. And then we have Sofia Vergara turning 53. We have Jessica Simpson turning 45. And then YouTube personality Swoozy also turning 45.
Swoozy?
Can't say that I'm familiar.
Never heard of him.
Or her.
It's a him. He's one of the guys that I watch. He's a Disney storyteller. He used to work at Disney, and he likes to tell his stories that most people don't, like behind the scenes type stuff.
Oh, he's a cast member?
Yeah.
Okay.
Swoozy. I'm going to look Swoozy up after this. 1976, Johnny Miller won his only Open championship at Royal Birkdale. A lot of Wimbledon on this day, as you can imagine. 2016, Andy Murray won his second Wimbledon title. On this day in 2021, former Red Raider Danny Coulomb gets a win out of the bullpen for the Twins, pitching the 6th and the 7th inning in a victory over the Tigers, and another tennis for Jamie Lent. On this day in 2022, Novak Djokovic won his 4th straight Wimbledon title. And entertainment on this day, 1981, The Fox and the Hound and Escape from New York with Kurt Russell was released. 1985, Mad Max Beyond the Thunderdome with Mel Gibson and Tina Turner. And in 2015, Minions, which I don't think I ever saw, was released on this day.
Yeah, I never watched Minions.
I like Despicable Me.
Sure, yeah, it's great.
But
I think I've seen the first 2 Despicable Me's. I don't think I've seen the 3rd one or the 4th one or Minions.
I saw Minions on an airplane.
Okay.
Going back east for whatever, but that was the one time I saw Minions, just because airplanes don't offer a good variety of movies.
No.
So it was slim pickings. But
what was this guy's name again?
Swoozy.
Now, be careful looking up Disney cast member stuff, because it'll get all over your algorithm and mess it all up. Then you'll be getting Disney adult content, and it's all downhill from there.
Adon Thorne.
I've heard of this new thing. What do they call it? It's where Disney adults aren't allowed to cosplay at Disney, but they dress in the same colors as a character. What do they call that?
That's right. Yeah.
There's a name for it.
Yeah. But I know exactly. Yeah.
I don't want to offend any Disney adults out there, but it's just an odd thing to me. Are you a Disney adult, Lucas?
I would like to go to Disney.
Yeah.
But, I mean...
I would like to go to Disney, but that's because I've never been.
Yeah. I've been there and done it.
Yeah.
I'm good. I've been to both. I've been to World and Land.
I've walked completely around Land. Completely around it at night.
But not in it.
I guess we technically kind of got in it, and then we got kicked out. But yeah.
Might need more of this story later.
Yeah, I don't know if the person that partook in that wants me to share it, but I have no problem sharing it.
I, in high school band, marched.
Oh.
At Disney.
Okay.
World. In Orlando. And then in college, went to Land on spring break. On a tour, a comedy troupe tour.
Okay.
Do you have any interest of going to the one in France or Japan?
No, if I went to Japan, I don't think Disney would be my plans.
Yeah, no. If you went to, so you did this as you're making fun of people dressing up at Disney. Would you dress up like as the Joker and walk around Disney? As long as you had Batman with you? Would you do that?
Well, that would make a lot of sense because Marvel is Disney and not
So we
DC.
Six Flags then.
You know, I've seen people do this at Six Flags at like for Halloween.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not much of a costume guy.
Okay.
So no, I wouldn't.
I'm just trying to. So what's wrong with people
My dress up as a
dressing up?
penguin.
Yeah. What's different between? What's different between dressing up like as the Joker or somebody?
On Halloween?
No. What? No. Let me finish. Going to Disney dressed up as in your adult Disney is what you were saying.
Yeah.
What's different with that than you going to a
Disney
Rangers
adults.
game wearing a Rangers hat and a Corey Seager jersey? Just because you don't have the baseball pants on, that's different. What's the difference there?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. If you're going full uniform, I think that's more like what the Disney adults are doing.
Okay. But you wearing a Rangers hat and a Corey Seager jersey is totally fine, and that's normal. I'm just trying to. There's two versions of normal, I think, is what we're saying here. Why are you making fun of people that want to dress up and go to Disney when you dress up and go to a baseball game?
I didn't want to offend them.
Oh, but I know. But by saying that,
I also don't wear jerseys. But I don't care if people wear jerseys.
Well, I don't care either. But I'm just saying it's kind of to each their own.
There's two different things between, hey, I just might want to dress up to feel the spirit of Disney and being a Disney adult. I think you're unfamiliar with the term.
Yeah, I am. I just wanted to argue.
Yeah.
I know we had not much time left, so I just wanted to try to rile you up.
I'm unriled.
You're wearing baseball pants right now, though, and stirrups.
No, I'm not. You should ask Bullfighter about dressing up in full baseball uniforms to go to watch baseball games. All right, more after this on a voice out of the score is the end of the bench.
Playing time is not required. This is the End of the Bench podcast from 100.7 The Score.
Welcome back. 100.7 The Score. It's the end of the bench. This could get contentious. And I can't wait. I can't wait for some of these because I feel like we're going to be drafting similar things and then we're going to try to say how different they are. But here's the draft order. We're going to go David Collier, first pick overall. Based off last week's, I was the loser, so I get to pick where I want to pick. I'm going to go third because it's a snake draft. Lucas won again, so he gets the third choice. He'll pick second. We're going to go 5 deep. It's the starting 5 draft. Into the bench, breakfast foods. David Collier, take it away.
Bacon.
Waffles.
Crispy and slimy. Just bacon. Sorry.
All right.
Waffles. You want bread right away.
So you're going waffles. I'm going to take the fried egg. Do I need to say over easy or sunny side up? No, I'm just going to take a fried egg. I think that's specific enough.
Yeah.
And then I'll go pancakes. I'm trying to appeal to the masses here. I'm going to go pancakes.
Hash browns.
My turn now?
Yep.
Guess I'm going plain old scrambled eggs. Right? Not
Sure.
runny, just scrambled. You can have the runny ones all you want.
I love a good runny egg.
So-
And you're snaking.
I know. We'll follow that up with biscuits and gravy. Because you said during a break, biscuits and gravy were one thing.
Yeah, I think that's one thing.
Okay. Don't you dare.
French toast.
Okay.
Lucas is going to take a crepe pretty soon here.
A crepe. Let's see. So it's back to me. I'm going to take a bacon, egg, and cheese breakfast burrito. And I'm also going to take donuts.
Dang it.
So we all have 2 more left? Or
Yes.
you have 1 more? And then when we get to you, we'll have each 1 more. So we go.
Yeah, so you have 2 more.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with breakfast casserole.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, that's a good one. So 2 for me, right? All right. I don't have I have biscuits and gravy. I have a bread substance there. You know what? I'm going grits here because I know none of you fools will take grits, and grits are amazing. If I said cheese grits, or do I get all grits here?
Yeah, we'll just give you grits. If
Okay,
you want to make
okay.
it specific for the vote, we can.
Nah, I'm fine with grits. We can dabble a little
You wanna
cheese
go
on all of it.
Shrimp and grits or something?
Nah, that's 2. That would be like steak and eggs, and
Sure.
we can't do steak and eggs. And then I'm going to wrap up with, I'm just going to go with, good call by you taking the donut, by the way. I wanted that sugar at the end, and I didn't get that. I need something sweet. Do I need something sweet? You know what? I'm just going to go plain old jelly and toast. You know, I got to have
Sure.
the jelly with the toast, but
Yeah.
we'll go with that as well.
Lucas?
Cinnamon rolls.
Oh, that's a good one. Good call.
That is a good one.
Yeah.
I'll take cereal.
All cereals?
Yeah.
Just sugary
Nobody else-
cereals? Or
nobody
you're just
else
going to
took
take
one.
brand, like,
Nobody else took it.
yeah, I don't want cereal.
Cereal and milk, yeah. I mean, if I was like picking my favorite cereal, it'd be like, I guess Captain Crunch, probably, or it's the off-brand in the bag, Captain Crunch. But
No, I just didn't want cereal. I didn't.
So go cereal.
I didn't go oatmeal. Would you have gone oatmeal?
No, I don't think so.
There's
If I'm trying to.
Yeah.
I also the 5 I picked are not my top 5.
Oh, so you're.
But I played to the masses.
Yeah, you're playing to the masses.
Yeah, why not?
I'm just going with. Well, that's not true because I took scrambled eggs because you took fried eggs.
I wish I would have gone omelet over fried egg because nobody else took omelet.
I wish you would have as well because I would have taken the fried egg over the scrambled egg.
Yeah. Well, that's why I did it because I knew you wanted that.
How did you know that?
Because you just said
Because
5
poached.
minutes ago that you
Yeah.
didn't like scrambled eggs.
I don't like runny scrambled eggs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Oh, so you appealed to the masses and you took something from me, but nothing
Well,
from Lucas.
it's my favorite specific egg. We took steak and eggs from him.
Well, he didn't allow me to take what I wanted, so.
Well, because that was a twofer.
It's an entree.
He didn't allow you.
You said it
said
first.
no. I said
During the commercial break, this is what everybody. Okay, so
you're not finishing my sentence. I said I wouldn't want you to do that, but I'm not going to say no to anything. Is what I said.
before that, when we were laying ground rules during the commercial, you said, "I think we shouldn't have something like steak and eggs." That came out of your mouth.
I think I was putting it forward to the group.
And you said that with him not knowing that's what I wanted. 'Cause
Exactly.
he wanted you to have a non-biased
So that's the
opinion on
draft. We're pulling way too much from off air onto the air here. That's the draft. We'll give you a recap as we move forward. You can tell us who you thought you won the draft. What did we miss? I feel like this is one draft where it's like you could probably make a team from missed opportunities. Absolutely. Chicken fry for breakfast is a great one.
Yeah.
If Collier had taken donuts and waffles instead of grits, he'd be the runaway winner. Instead, Breaux wins fairly easily.
Are you reading just your personal one?
Cheese is... I'm reading in order.
Okay.
Cheese is the Luke Jackson of a burrito. It doesn't belong ever. Bullfighter says DC won. DC has already won. Bacon has to be crispy in the end. Wrong.
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, if it's really
I'm a chewy bacon guy.
I'll eat all of the bacon that's there.
Yeah.
But I don't want it, like, when I bite it to just, like, break apart. You know?
If it's in a burrito, I go a little extra crispy just because it'll be in there for a minute. So you're going no cheese in a breakfast burrito? That's what
Bullfighter said. Yeah.
Do you do cheese in your breakfast burritos?
Yeah, I'm pretty much not turning down cheese for the most part.
Yeah.
On anything.
There's a local establishment that does a pork belly and fried egg taco.
Yeah.
That is the cream of the crop right
Steven mentioned it here that just came in on the Yates Flooring Center chat line. I'm surprised, and I wasn't going to double down. I probably should have. Nobody went with sausage.
Yeah.
Like...
yeah, I think we could make a fourth team of 5 things and be fairly competitive.
Yeah.
I was going to use pigs in a blanket, but you took pancakes, so...
And no kolache's taken either.
Well, I think you could do a pig in a blanket.
Oh, it's sausage and pancake.
Well, he took a breakfast burrito.
Your pigs in a blanket is
a sausage.
Pancake?
Right.
That's a Yankee thing.
Thank you.
To me, that's sausage on a stick.
But the sausage on the stick has a pancake though.
Right.
Yeah.
My pig in a blanket is like a croissant or a bready thing, not a pancake.
Weirdo.
Like a crescent roll.
Yeah. Crescent roll. There you go. Yeah. That's what I was talking about. Yeah, that's how we make our little pigs in a blanket. But that's a regional thing. You're a Yankee. Yeah. This texter, strong millennial vote, avocado toast.
I would have laughed if you would have put that on yours.
People talk trash about that, but if you give me some avocado toast,
I would eat it, but I'm not ordering
everything bagel seasoning and a runny egg on top.
I would
be completely satisfied.
Yeah, no, I would eat it.
But that is definitely like the millennial joke.
Yeah.
Grits was a surprise.
I love grits.
Sure.
But I'm from Tennessee.
Sure, yeah.
When I went to Atlanta, like here you go to a grocery store and it's got like grits, one grit, Yeah. And I'm not joking. We went to a grocery store in Atlanta and it was a wall of different flavored grits.
That's awesome. See, I would have taken the egg or the McMuffin, the English muffin sandwich. Try not to give any credit there.
Yeah.
Just even at home, the English muffin sandwich.
What's the muffin that has? What kind of bread is that?
The English muffin?
Yeah. I thought you didn't like those.
No, those are my favorite.
No, bagels are your favorite.
No.
You said you would love to have a bagel over an English muffin ever.
No, I've never said that.
You just did.
No, I didn't. You said it. But I do like bagels, and you don't. 100.7 The Score.
Playing time is not required. This is the End of the Bench podcast from 100.7 The Score.
Welcome back, 100.7 The Score. It's the End of the Bench. We're going to pick these off here. We'll just tell you when we're done and post them next week as we move through some of the records. Currently, though, we have Arizona State. Okay. I've got a bone to pick. I invited one person to this thing so he could put his picks in for his show.
Uh-huh.
I spent a lot of time on this.
Yeah.
Arizona has just been completely deleted on all three.
He took Arizona
just off. Yeah, he just deleted them. No idea why. Some are bold now. What are we doing?
Don't invite me. I'll just accidentally delete the entire thing.
This took like 2 hours to build. I did not see that earlier. I'm gonna have to take a second to recover from how angry I am that he just deleted some things. All right. Anyways, I've got Arizona at 10-2, but I have no idea who they're winning against because those games have been deleted.
You have Arizona State 10-2.
I've got Arizona. What did I say?
You said Arizona 10-2.
I've got them 2-10.
Okay.
I've got
that
Arizona.
Makes more sense.
I've got Arizona State 9-3.
Okay.
I've got BYU 8-4, and I think we've agreed on those.
Yeah.
Though, do you think Arizona will go 0 in conference play? Maybe we go find one that Arizona gets.
Yeah.
Again, I
don't
have
think
to
we're going to
pull
have
up their
another
schedule
0 in conference play.
Baylor, I have it 10-2. Some other games I'm looking at, or just based on the games I've already picked, I've got Iowa State beating Arizona State. I've got Kansas State winning in Dublin. What do you think about that one?
You have Kansas State winning that, huh?
Oh, now that I'm looking at it, no, I don't. I have Iowa State winning that.
Yeah. That's brutal. I get, wanting the exposure and everything, but that game to start the year just seems like too much of an ask. I would take Iowa State in that game, though.
I also have Texas Tech going 11-1 currently. I don't think they'll finish at 11-1 in this poll as I look through all the other games. But another thing that Choice Woodman has done, he's replaced one of the Tech games with 9-3, parentheses 6-3. I don't know. Maybe I did this in a haze, and I'm just blaming Choice, but the last time I looked at this, it was not like this. So it is what it is.
How mad do you think Matt Campbell or Chris Klieman? I can see Matt Campbell getting mad, without a doubt. Chris Klieman doesn't seem like he doesn't have much of a temper, but when they found out about that game, because both of those teams traditionally not really great at the beginning of the year, right? Like in non-conference early season games.
So Kansas State has struggled with like Tulane.
That's what I'm saying.
And Iowa State is notoriously bad.
Northern Iowa beats,
Yeah, Iowa State's notoriously bad early in the season.
That's what I'm saying. Both of those teams never good to start a season. And to have a conference game against a team that you could potentially be
as conference favorites, and any Big 12 loss is big news.
Yeah, that just is it worth it just to be playing in Ireland for that?
I think it is for the conference, and I like that it's. I'm not going to call those two big national brands.
No,
but there's certainly brands that are recognizable over the last decade for Iowa State, probably plus for Kansas State as football brands. They've been good at football. And so I do think to have a national spotlight, Dublin or otherwise, in week 0 in a conference game, I mean, that number should be close to 4 million, if not over, right? Viewers?
Yeah.
I mean, that's good for the Big 12, right?
Yeah.
And then, Triple H is going to be there at the 50-yard line because they'll be there in Dublin.
Yes, it will get a lot more viewers than it would have had it been week 3 of Big 12 play.
But I would prefer Farmageddon in week 14.
Yeah, at the end of the year. That should be one of those end-of-the-year rivalry things.
That's another thing, just looking at the schedule. Week 14 is not good. There's a lot of weeks. I was also trying to pick a game of the week for every week. I'm going to run through some of these because There are some stinkers of weeks in the Big 12.
So no game day is what you're telling us?
Yeah, I think there's going to be some pretty tough opportunities for game day.
Well, that's all predicated on, I mean, if Texas Tech is rolling along.
Right.
And
there are certainly opportunities, but it's like for the same 4 teams, which maybe that's in every conference.
Yeah.
So my game of the weeks right now, week 0 is obviously Farmageddon. Week 1, Nebraska, Cincinnati at Arrowhead. Honorable mention would be Auburn, Baylor, TCU, North Carolina. I think that's 3 good games.
Yeah.
But just because it's Arrowhead and Nebraska, and I think Auburn, Baylor probably matters more for the long haul of the season. Baylor, SMU would be week 2. Kansas, Missouri, week 3. Tech, Utah, week 4. But Arizona State, Baylor, and North Carolina, UCF all play that week. I think that's a pretty good week.
Yeah.
And then, like, the game of the weeks for me, BYU, Colorado was the best game of the week in week 5. I didn't really see much else. Baylor, Kansas State, week 6. Arizona State, Utah. Texas Tech, Arizona State. Kansas State, Kansas, week 9. And then again, Texas Tech, Kansas State, Iowa State, TCU, Utah, Baylor. TCU, BYU also play that week, but is that a better game than Utah, Baylor? And then Kansas, Iowa State. And then the week 14, I came up with Arizona State, the Territorial Cup.
Yeah.
Because the rest of week 14 right now is BYU, UCF, Baylor, Houston, Cincinnati, TCU, Colorado, Kansas State, Iowa State, Oklahoma State, Texas Tech, West Virginia. And it's kind of a fizzle there at the end.
Yeah. But, I mean, traditionally the Iowa State, Oklahoma State would have been one of your choices, but
there's no like real rivalry week.
I don't know. All you guys love that West Virginia Texas Tech rivalry. You guys are big into that.
I do like that game if you're going to make it the same week every year. Like if you're doing that, then do it, and maybe in 10 years it's something.
It's not going to be something. It's never going to be something.
I would
stop
prefer
trying
that
to make fetch a thing.
I would prefer that to be Texas Tech, Oklahoma State in the same week every year. Or Texas Tech, Baylor, or Texas Tech, TCU. Certainly, West Virginia is not my top.
It's a rivalry in my household.
Sure, yeah, why not?
Yeah, why not?
It's also a lot, like nobody's getting, everyone plays after buys. Like if you're playing after a bye, the other team's probably playing after a bye too. Which I guess is a good thing in conference if you're working that out.
Yeah.
But nobody's really getting an advantage.
That's the way it should be.
Sure, yeah.
If you can work it that way.
I like that. But Iowa State could also be, I would not be surprised at all to see Iowa State start 1-2. But again, generally you'd be like, well, that doesn't matter because it's non-conference, but that's a conference game that they could lose early.
Yeah.
And then they could always lose to Iowa.
Yes. Somehow.
And that's either going to be, 4-3 or I think it was 44-41 one year in overtime, double overtime or something. Which I think it would be more likely to see 2 safeties in a game than get up to 40 points again. All right, Ask the Benchwarmers on the other side. 100.7 The Score. It's the end of the bench.
Playing time is not required. This is the End of the Bench podcast from 100.7 The Score.
Welcome back. 100.7 The Score. It is the End of the Bench. This texter says he's on a road trip listening to you guys. Y'all made my wife hungry. Stopped in Seymour, and she said, how do you get to breakfast bowl? So it looks like some chewy bacon, scrambled eggs, and avocado. Potatoes. That looks really good.
Potato in there, yeah.
That looks really good. Here's me as the Hulk, Rob, when someone deletes Arizona. They should have put a different game in Ireland. Farmageddon is meant to be played in the Heartland. I do agree with that.
Yes.
I do agree with that.
Yeah. Why take that from the fans?
Yeah.
Like, just have Arizona against Kansas State.
Or put Colorado against somebody.
Yeah.
Like that's the brand that
that's true.
nationally people want to watch in week 0.
Yeah.
Benchwarmers. In your opinion, what is the most relaxing instrument? Violin, piano, saxophone, other?
I would not say a violin.
Love violin or harmonica.
Violin doesn't seem relaxing. It seems like
I think maybe.
I'm gonna keep doing that.
Can we do that again?
Yeah. That doesn't seem like that would be relaxing. Maybe I'm wrong.
We're gonna make that low. In your opinion, yeah. Of those, I would say saxophone.
I would say saxophone. A harmonica seems like it can be very abrasive as well.
Yeah.
Would you go with a I can't even think of it now. Accordion?
Even so, like if I'm just like turning on some instrumental music, like I don't mind a nice acoustic guitar.
Yeah.
If it's being played in a fashion that is relaxing.
What does Kenny G play?
So I believe that's an alto saxophone, the straight saxophone.
Yeah. So give me that.
Or an alto either. That's the one with the at the end. Kazoo is pretty calming.
Yeah, let's see. I want a kazoo, a harmonica, and a violin all at the same time.
I will say that, like, also if I'm just turning on music to turn out, like, I think bluegrass is relaxing. So I might even go banjo, but I don't think many people would agree with that.
Yeah, I don't think a banjo would be relaxing either.
But I think the banjo is relaxing. Don't you see value in playing in Europe for a Big 12 game? Maybe Kansas State loses with distraction. Then maybe as Tech alumni, we'll be glad later in the year. Yeah, if I'm choosing a team to win there, it'd be Iowa State to help Texas Tech, because Joey's 2-0 against Matt Campbell, and Tech hasn't beaten Kansas State since one of the Bushes when he was in office, I think.
Ron Prince, was that the last?
Probably.
In Manhattan, in Manhattan for sure, it was Ron Prince.
He
wasn't Bill Snyder. I don't think they beat Bill Snyder up there. I know it was Ron Prince, I think.
Have you researched a way or found a way to get NFL Sunday Ticket, Astros, Rangers, baseball, MLB games, and stars without YouTube TV or DirecTV? Yeah, it's fairly easy. Pay all the extra money for NFL Sunday Ticket on the NFL app. I don't know how to do Astros games. Pay all the extra money for Victory Plus, pay all the extra money for MLB TV, and then the stars are free on Victory Plus. So, not easy. Yesterday's media day was pretty crazy interesting. The coaches spent with Scott Frost. He was crying about portal money and Prime and Colorado's arrogance about his competition with portal money. Your thoughts? I thought there was an undercurrent in the last 2 days of people being pretty upset that Texas Tech's out there giving bukus of money. But I also think that's just because I'm a Texas Tech fan on guard.
Yeah.
But there aren't a lot of teams in the Big 12 doing it.
I was about to say, I think that there probably is that frustration from everybody there, but they can't say it because it's pretty obvious who they would be talking about.
Right.
And
then Scott Frost's more interesting comment to me was they asked him about the Nebraska job and his failures there.
What did you learn from your Nebraska job?
Yeah, he said, don't pick the wrong job.
Yeah.
And then that pull quote, I thought was taken out of context. I was like, surely he expounded on that and said some of his personal failures, the pressure of the job and all that. No.
Yeah.
The full quote was even worse than the pull quote. Like, going even deeper into it, he said, they kind of begged me as an alumni to come home and try to fix that, and it was never going to work. It's all Nebraska. I didn't fail there. It was just a failure of a job. Nobody can win there, basically, is what I read from his full comments.
Yeah, and I didn't hear it. So
I was like, that is just zero accountability for your failures. And a lot of people have failed at Nebraska since they left the Big 12. Though I think in varying degrees, I think they got rid of Bo Pelini too soon. But nobody has won like Bo Pelini did since. And so I do think that Nebraska is a very tough job. But if Matt Wells had said those things about the Tech job, we all would have been like, okay, Matt Wells. And we got mad because he said like nothing about Lubbock. He didn't even say anything negative. He just didn't say anything positive.
Positive, yeah.
And I think people still pull up Cliff quotes from when he left and misconstrue some of the things he said about, well, he hated recruiting. It's like, well, that's not really what he said. But he didn't really take a lot of responsibility on not recruiting.
Yeah.
And then this, to me, seems like the same thing with Scott Frost, except worse. And I think there were a lot of other circumstances that I've seen since that I don't know anything about with him having problems off the field.
Yeah.
But it just seems like there were 10 different ways to say what he said in a much better way.
And he seems like he probably does that on a regular basis. I don't think he really cares the way what you think about the way, or anybody.
Yeah. He should.
No, I agree. Well, I don't know that he necessarily, but for multiple reasons, I mean, clearly it didn't work out in Nebraska, and that sucks for him and Cliff, right? But maybe to lessen the blow, not pretty much talk bad about your alma mater that way. But I honestly that seems like his personality doesn't really. We did not stop by and visit with him. Who do you think had the most people around their tables during coach scrums on date one?
Joey.
Yeah.
Joey number one. I think Matt Campbell probably had a gaggle.
He actually started before most people, and it didn't seem like it was a ton.
There's somebody who had more than Joey?
Mm-hmm. There were two. There were two, I think, that rivaled Joey and maybe had more. One of them, both of them actually baffle me, just personality-wise.
Kleiman?
Nope. Kleiman was very...
Aranda?
Yes, Aranda had a ton of people, but I don't think that was number one.
Sataki?
Yeah. It was...
Were there just a lot of BYU people there?
There were, they have BYU TV, but there were BYU like website guys, but the TV people, not that I know of. It was amazing.
Do you think people are trying to get Retzlaff quotes?
Maybe that was the case. I went over there to get video of the whole, but the group around Aranda and Sataki, who were side by side at tables, was amazing. How I was just baffled. Again, I like Dave Aranda. It's not the most exciting.
Oh, he's a boring guy.
Yeah, it's very boring. It's a very boring guy.
He did drop a good quote. He said, people ask if we can throw deep. I told him Sawyer has an arm with its own zip code. We're just waiting on clearance from the FAA.
And then he probably looked around to see if he got a laugh.
I feel like he had a ghostwriter there.
Yeah. Oh, without a doubt.
All right. That's what we have.
Ghostwriters. Lucas writes all of our stuff.
That's right. He writes the whole show. Yeah. We're actually
scripted. We're reading it right now.
This texter says there's a stark difference between the accountability with Frost and then with Joey and Micah Hudson, I think is what he's saying. I would agree. I think Joey took a lot of responsibility in that, and I don't think he needed to. And he did.
Yeah, he did.
And I much more respect that than that job sucks. I mean, can you imagine if Joey's here saying, we can't get people out there and it's hard to recruit because it's isolated?
Yeah.
No. He's never said that. But a lot of people have at Texas Tech and about Texas Tech. Bottom line next. We'll see you tomorrow.
This has been the End of the Bench podcast from 100.7 The Score. Go to 107thescore.com for more from the Double T Sports Network.